Vortex, I have to admit something to you. You know, a few years ago, I wanted to talk about politics. And the reason why I wanted to talk about politics was because I thought that the whole reason why I got involved with stand-up comedy was so I would transform and I would go from being a liberal lunatic to being a regular ass lunatic. Okay? Now I realized there were a lot of things that I did wrong in my early 20s. And there were things that I believed in that were pretty stupid. But I was young. Young and dumb and stupidly optimistic and trying to fit in with a shitty ass world that wants to be dead. Okay, I made a lot of mistakes. But no mistakes involving an unwanted pregnancy. No mistakes involving a dead fetus on an operating table. No mistakes involving an overdose. No mistakes involving, a lesbian act, aside from just kissing women when I was drunk. No mistakes involving an STD. No mistakes involving too much medication. I took medication, but I couldn't continue. So, psychiatric drugs, birth control. There was a lot of stuff I was prescribed, but I couldn't take it. But I had no problem buying a bag of pot, and I definitely had no problem smoking that bag of pot. And then buying another bag of pot and smoking that bag of pot. Now you could say that that's because I have a disease and that's my addiction talking to me. Well, first you have to be addicted to something in order for it to talk to you. Okay? Now I get though that that's what a compulsion does. A compulsion has you convinced that you want to do something 250 times a day. You know? If you do it more than once, it's a compulsion. Like, say you have a routine. Everybody's got one. Say you have a routine. So you get up every day, you smoke a joint, you drink a cup of coffee, you drive to work. It's part of your routine, right? I think that there's a huge difference between doing that and then feeling a compulsion to keep doing something that you've already received the benefit from. Okay? For me, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, and sometimes even smoking weed would do the same thing, where I would do it, and then I would have to keep going back to it. Now, cigarettes is kind of a different story because, there's really no high that you get from cigarettes. It's more of a buzz. You get like a nicotine buzz. Especially if you smoke that cigarette first thing in the morning. Or like right when you wake up, rather. Morning. But yeah, it's like if you just got high and people offer you more weed and you can't say no to it. I mean, I know for a fact that, like, I could not stop myself from drinking even if I wanted to. People told me that when I was in the middle of a blackout, I would still be pounding that bottle. So, I think it's just indicative of compulsions. I mean, you can call it alcoholism, you can call it a disease. You can call stealing shit compulsively, you can call that kleptomania. Or you could just call it being a bad person, you know? You could call it, giving in to your darker desires. Doing things that you know aren't good for you. And if they're not good for you, there's no way that they could possibly be good for society, no matter how many corporations you think you're going to take down because you steal fucking mascara. So, I just think about a lot of the stuff that I used to do in complete horror, but it makes sense why I did it. And maybe I'm trying to rationalize it. Like, oh, you were just stupid liberal, or... But I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like excuses. Like, there are plenty of liberals that don't steal liquor bottles. Just like there are plenty of people that drink too much, but they don't end up sleeping around and stealing from their friends and family. And, there are plenty of people that smoke weed. It's kind of like the argument that people make about how marijuana is a gateway drug. It just depends on the person that does it. If it's a gateway to anything, it's usually just stronger weed. But then people like to make the case, well, I would have never smoked crack if I hadn't smoked weed first. Which that argument doesn't really make sense to me. Because I feel like if you're the type of person that's going to smoke crack, you're going to be that type of person regardless of, like, what you were doing before, I just hate how people don't take personal responsibility for anything. So, I always blame myself for everything. That's why I'm saying that every failed relationship's my fault, because I was in it, That doesn't mean that the dude's behavior was tip-top. That doesn't mean that, he was a good boyfriend or whatever. It doesn't matter. Even if he was, the same thing would have happened. So, it's all about knowing yourself. Like, if I know that I can't handle alcohol, I'm not going to drink it. If I know that I can't handle a relationship, I'm not going to go out on a date. You know what I mean? It's like I've made this mistake too many times. And it bothers me that we live in a society that doesn't believe in self-awareness. And now, people that actually respect you, that know your boundaries, don't understand that. And they won't ask you again, hey, you want to go out drinking with us? It's like, I just find it absolutely absurd that people can't remember the one friend that they have that doesn't party the way that they do. Or the one friend that they have that doesn't have a smartphone. Or the one friend that they have that's asexual, that has no interest in romance whatsoever. Most people are sheep. Most people do what everybody else does. So, you ought to remember my crazy ass, damn it.